Book Plus. I am Weekend Wook, joined by Kev the Great Went. Night 5, night 2 at Mohegan Sun. Pretty decent show.
Yeah, it was a Wednesday.
It was a Wednesday.
It had some moments. I was really high on it at one point, and and everybody who knows what I'm gonna say when we get to that point. But I was really high on it for that point, and they broke new ground. They did something you never get, so this show gets extra props just for that.
Yeah, I'm going to give my disclaimer at the top that I think they're playing phenomenally. I think they really are playing at a very high level. I'm going to be critical of some things, but that's not to like shit on anyone's parade. Like I do think overall they are just playing
We're paid.
exceptionally.
We are paid to do color and criticize.
Right. Paid very, very little. But all right, let's get
And we
into
do
it.
need to have. We will need to have the discussion there for a minute when we get to it.
All right.
We're going to get to it quick. Fantastic. Such a great opener. Just the lyrics, the whole thing. Everybody knows it.
Openers.
Right? Everybody's getting their feet patting. I love it. Short, though. This is the first one since New Year's. It's been 13 shows since they did one, which it's usually 6 or 7. So it's been a while. And it was a real straight, clean version. I guess because they didn't have to bring Teal in.
Yeah, I mean, I love that bag is versatile and you can have it, jammed out. But I think it's home is at the top of the set and rocking like that. And then to get a curtain, wow, that is just fucking one of my favorite songs and a really cool choice to put up top. I wasn't
nice coupling too. I mean, when bag ended, boom, they hit curtain. Like
that segue was pretty amazing. I
I'm
wasn't
calling it
shocked
a
that they got no
calling
width,
it-
but I thought it was interesting. No, go ahead.
I was calling it a coupling because they didn't play one into the other. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I was just saying that, I think I typically prefer to have the widths, but I do think that they jumped right into Steam and then the width showed up later. This actually worked out pretty sweet. I like
Right. Now I think that you've done it right with the curtain and with separate. And I've always said I love fishnet. I'm there all the time. That it always should have been 2 separate things, like listed as the curtain and then a separate hot link for width if they did width. And then because it's tough to do the stats with it. When was the last time they played a curtain with, as opposed to just the curtain?
Yeah. I don't know if I need a separate link, but I definitely think it's okay to call the width when it's played on its own, the width.
Just width.
Right.
And that would have a separate page.
Right.
Just one entry.
Would only be tonight. I mean, has there ever been another time when they played the width?
No.
The other thing is you could treat it as like a footnote and like have Mike's width where, you know what I mean? Like instead of have curtain with the curtain or Mike's width and just have it be the
but it was full on. I mean, it wasn't as long as you normally get when it's attached to the curtain. It was only like 5 minutes, but anyway, Steam. Nice, interesting little bit to Steam with it was kind of a little
we don't have the comments coming up here. Let me pull up my YouTube comments real quick.
Why don't we have any comments?
No, I don't know. It's not coming up on StreamYard, but I see it in the actual studio.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, so people are probably like, shouting at us, and we're completely missing it. Talk about Steam while I pull this up.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say there was a nice little jam in the middle of it. I thought it was interesting. I've my love for Steam has diminished greatly over the past couple years. I'm kind of at the point where they're doing Steam, but this one had something interesting in it for me.
Yeah, I'm not with you on that. I respect that's where you're at. I thought this was one of the better Steams I'd heard in a while and really liked it. but I think Steam's grown for me. The introduction of Thread and the making it a trio, well, potentially a trilogy at some point. The early Steams were kind of like gimmicky to me, right? Like
Mhm.
the front of the crowd with Steam and the you're like, like
Yeah.
but now I think like they've got their groove so locked in, and it's become such an interesting song that I really enjoy it. I thought that maze was kind of blazing, kind of a fun, tight maze. Uh,
Always look forward to the maze because you get that huge Page organ solo in it. It was a solid version, and it's fun to watch Trey watching Page during the organ solo because he always looks over and he's smiling, and his mouth's hanging open a little bit. It's a good
yeah,
look
and that
for him.
exact motion that you're doing, like with the head nodding, that's just
Mhm.
like the whole time while they're like, I don't know if it was actually fast or not, right? But it had me moving like that, like, and
Mhm.
that's how I felt like, like why I considered it blazing or like a hot maze was just because the whole time, just fucking like not like full head banging, but like it got you moving, right?
Mhm.
Um, this Farmhouse, man, what did you think about this? This was a different type of Farmhouse.
It was weird when it started. I felt like the vocals were off. I guess they rearranged it. And in my head, I was just like, what are they doing? It sounded like the tape was playing at the wrong speed or something for me.
I loved it, man. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, it was entirely different, right? A different arrangement, different interludes, different tempos. I like that they gave it a little bit of jamminess. I don't think it was jamming. It was more like 80s ballad rock, like guitar solo. You know what I mean? Like ballad
Mm-hmm.
soloing. I liked the reimagination of it. I liked the vocal inflections without the like unnecessary broccoli, like reaching. Like everything was
Mm-hmm.
still like reasonable and within his range. The only thing I didn't like about it or love about it was the placement of it. I think maybe a little bit earlier, maybe before the maze, and then it could have just run out the set. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
worked a little better. I thought it kind of sucked the energy
The
out of the
life
set.
out.
Yeah, but as far as just like direct comparisons, I think this was a neat rendition of Farmhouse. Didn't mind
I'm
it.
going to have to be a purist and say that this was something that I hope is just a one off, something interesting they did. And it isn't the reimagining of Farmhouse for here on out.
Like, there's too much change in the world. I just want things to stay the same.
Well, sometimes, like I said at Set Break Hang, when you write a good song and it's a hit and it's a well crafted song and it works, why go mess with it?
I mean, sure for like an album or something, but like a performance on a Wednesday night, fucking, I like that they do it differently. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mull was it's not my favorite Mike song or my favorite song, but it's growing on me, I think. I think he's getting more and more comfortable with it. It's still like right in that precipice of like about to go. It feels like it's about to explode and then it keeps getting held back or truncated. And I don't know why Trey keeps doing that, but you
Right.
know.
I had a little bit of a thing with Maul tonight, and as much as maybe it is only an 8-minute song, maybe we never going to get that jam, but Trey was very patient with it. Towards the end of it, when they went back into the song proper, he played it a little bit. He messed around with a little bit. It messed around in the next couple bars a little bit. Looked over to Mike, and then they went into it like he cared. Like he was like, "All right, let's do this right and not rush through it." And
Well, he
I feel like
probably figured out that if he didn't, he was going to lose Mike, right? It's like when somebody's dissatisfied in the relationship and he's like, all right, I'm going to take a little extra time with you tonight. Yeah.
just
you
me and you,
know?
buddy. Just me and
Uh,
you. So I am pro Mall. I'm putting it above 555 on my list of I'd like to see a Mike song.
I agree with that. I mean, it's still pretty low, but I would put it above 555.
There aren't
I'm
that
just saying,
many
if you're
that
going to give me 8 minutes of Farmhouse, you certainly could give me 12 minutes of Mull. Like, I don't need
right.
it to be like a 20 plus, but like, I think a little bit more would work really well with that song, you
Mm-hmm.
know? I don't
Yeah.
know.
We got
This
whistling.
Reba was great.
We got
Yeah.
whistling.
Yeah, we sure did. And we also got a very tight, beautiful, well executed Reba composition. I don't know why, but I sometimes forget how beautiful that song is, right? Like I think of like the beautiful melodies and the beautiful compositions from like early on, and Divided Sky, and like the melody from Lizards and Yem, and like there's like Fluffhead, like the obvious Curtain, right? Like they're the ones that I always think of. And for whatever reason, I don't necessarily think of Reba first. But then when I'm listening to it, I'm like, it's better than all those songs, I think, as like a composition, or at least in the same breath. Just such a beautiful fucking song. And it was cool it's just cool to hear them hitting these classics so cleanly, so late in the game, right? Like, and not just cleanly, but like with so much emotion and expression. They feel alive, right? Like this Reba tonight felt alive. It did not feel like a greatest hits nostalgia, just like, oh, we just got to play this. Like it felt like he was like Trey, especially with and Paige, the interplay between the two. Every single note had something to it, right? Like there was a energy in it, and I don't know. I think that's really neat. Did you fall asleep? I was like, did I pass you out?
No, I was gonna say I have nothing to really add. It was a beautiful version, and I feel like they've been practicing, maybe sitting on the bus. They were running through it or something like that. But it seemed like they were, as opposed to a song that shows up every 7th, 8th show, and you might get it, you might not. It feels like there was some forethought to it. We're going to do Reba, let's run through it and make sure that
we get it right. Don't just throw it in there.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there probably is more rehearsing, or at least more contemplation about it, right? Which is good.
Trey, I'm going to come over to your boss. They're calling each other up. Come on over. And then they all run over to Trey's boss, hop on.
I wonder if like all the media and press they've been doing, and all these side things and interviews and all the nostalgia, and then like coming off the anniversary and stuff, like they have opportunities to be really reflective, and they're kind of at a point where they can like sit back and think about it, you know what I mean, and make those conscious decisions. And I don't know, it's very easy for us to feel like that because we're consuming all of it, so we can like project that onto them. But I wonder how much of that is like, plays a part into how they're playing and how they're operating it.
Right. And doing all this press, I'm sure people mention all kinds of songs to them, and maybe stuff that they haven't thought of, Trey hasn't thought about, or they pops in their head. He thinks about Reba, obviously, but somebody might have mentioned it, and, hey, I want to run through that, Who knows? They whistled. Good for them.
Man, chat is fucking alive right now, and we're having technical issues, so I can't bring any of it up on screen. Right. But I love that you guys are all jumping in with your comments.
Nice.
Yeah, what's up?
I think of it as a Vita Blues song, man. I don't feel like PHiSH owns it because they don't do it enough. It's once a tour, 2 or 3 times a year, maybe. I wish they played the song more. I wish they played it more.
I hear you with that too. If Vita Blue toured more, and I was able to get it from Vita more, then I would be on board with that. But the fact that we've gotten Vita twice and really only once in modern,
and it's never going to happen again.
And it's never going to happen again. So, I think they could Vita it up more. I don't know, maybe like, but I mean,
it's cool. It's got a neat
and everything.
I feel like my other knock to it is Paige's voice is very ethereal and thin and angelic, it's very breathy. And I feel like this song could stand someone singing from their stomach a little bit.
Oh yeah. See, I like that though, because I like the thumping like EDM, like like the like with beat with just like this like ethereal voiceover. I don't know. Hey, listen, everybody has different tastes. I think it kind of works for me. I hope Life Saving Gun kind of takes that role and continues to develop and grow. But without most events aren't planned or I always wanted it this way, you wouldn't get that flavor of PHiSH. And while it's not my favorite flavor, I think it's an important flavor, right up there with like the bluegrass flavor and the funky flavor. I think this Paigey Jamtronica, whatever you want to call that
Mm.
shit flavor is important, you know? Yeah. All right,
Like,
set break.
subscribe. Make sure you comment if you're watching this later.
Yeah, let us know what you thought. Let us know how we did and what you thought of the show. I've been really enjoying reading everybody's comments after the fact.
All right,
And we'll
join the
be back.
Discord.
Well, yeah, hit up our socials and especially our Discord. That's been lit. And then we'll be back this weekend after what Alpine is this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh shit, is that Central? Is that Mountain?
Yeah.
Am I staying up later?
Yeah, you're staying up later.
Please support us. We're very tired. It would be awesome if you like and subscribe.
They're going what I like to call the behind the corn curtain. You go like halfway through Ohio, and then it's Indiana, and it's all the Midwest is there.
I'm excited though, because Alpine's given some really hot shows over the years. There's a lot of potential, man. They're set up well for it.
I just have the issue of going somewhere where marijuana is illegal. It's like I'm going back into the last century or something.
10 years ago, you weren't able to go anywhere.
I know exactly, but now that I am, I'm like, there's so many places I can go, and it's not a big deal. And I like to blaze on.
You do.
You know this.
I do know this. This is very true. Blaze On has become a great second set opener because it has the energy of an opener, but also the jam potential and the jam vehicle potential. So it works really, really well in that 1 or 2 spot in the second set. And in a night where I didn't have a ton of big jams, this was one of 2 I thought that worked really well in the exploratory, taking it out for a little bit of a walk.
I feel like they stayed comfortable. They stayed inside of what a Blaze On was, but it was a fantastic opener. I have no problem with that at all. It's probably one of my favorite songs out of that little slice, like Set Your Soul Free, Soul Planet Blaze, and when I lump all them together, it's probably my favorite out of that songwriting period. The pre-COVID songs, let's call them. Big vote on
the late 3.0.
The post Fare Thee Well composition.
Pre-COVID. Yeah.
Yes.
15 to 19.
Yeah,
I hear you. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Somebody should make up a timeline for the Wookiac Schleiss if it happens to show up.
It should. So the mics was fine, right?
Yes.
I think it was cool, but what made it exceptional was throwing the width in there. And I lost my shit when I heard that. I loved this more than I thought I would. I was kind of like dozed on it, and then I heard width, and I was just like fucking really, really pumped about it.
I thought it was hydrogen there for a second. I swear to God,
so he played the Net, first note. Because Net had it as Mike's hydrogen to start, and then they switched it. Now they have it as Mike's curtain width with a explanation that it's not curtain width, just the width.
Right. I felt like when that Trey played the first note of hydrogen, looked over at Mike and nodded at him, and then boom, they went into it. Like they had talked backstage and said, all right, when we get to the end of Mike's, I'm gonna play that first note of hydrogen, but then we're gonna do width. They had to have communicated this beforehand.
Yeah,
it was executed pretty flawlessly.
Yeah, no, they definitely talked about it beforehand, but I could see it either as like a fake out or for a split second, Trey forgot that they were doing with, started hydrogen out of muscle memory, and then was like, "Don't worry, Trey or Mike, I'm good now." And then
right.
sorry.
The thing with that is it's so composed. But that's why it works there for me completely, like hydrogen does. It's a piece of music that you play the same every time, and it becomes a game of how well do you play it? How well does each person play this memorized 5-minute piece of music,
I feel like this is now officially the second best mid-groove choice option, right? Like we've talked about that many times on the show, like the Simple or Contact, or I really liked Mike's ass-handed Pug. Like I thought the ass-handed was funny, but like hydrogen is the obvious, right? Like the traditional groove, I think all of us have agreed is, But I
for the
think With
purists.
works the next best.
Yes, it was fantastic. I do you want to see it again? Or would it
Not
lose
for
its
a while.
specialness?
Yeah,
Right.
not for a long time.
If ever.
If ever. Yeah.
You
I don't mind throwing the With around though.
No,
Like I
not
feel
at
like there
all.
could be other places that the With shows up.
Like where What's the Use shows up in a second
Yeah.
set or something. Out of a spacey jam, you could land on With. Which would
You
be
could do
interesting to
a
go
What's
from
the Use With.
goes from total improv to boom,
Yeah.
something that's completely composed.
Oh, yeah, throw it in the
Right.
middle of a jam too.
Yeah.
Like it is a real spacey sonics, out there, do a With and then come back into whatever they're jamming in. We
Yeah.
should write set list, Kev.
We
Trey should
should.
call us.
He
I
should,
think he'd be good at it.
he should let us rate one of the Nights of Mondegreen.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Trey, if you're watching,
I like the way that Radio Star Killer called it, "Wandering Withs." The wandering,
there you go.
the wandering withs.
No, I think that Mike should get an extra minute at the beginning of Weekapaug. I never can get enough of his bass in the beginning of Weekapaug.
His tone sounded fantastic tonight too. It was very.
He's vibrating. He's up there, hapsing, whatever they call it, haptic.
Yeah, the haptics. No, but he had a very punchy, crisp, tuned up sound. I mean, granted, I was listening in the headphones. I don't know, like everybody has a comment about the mix for the stream, but then like I asked people, well, how are you listening to it? TV speakers, headphones, phone speakers, computer speakers. Like there's like, and every single one of those things, the mix is gonna be different. So like, at least for me though, I thought he said
I have little LBJ bookshelf speakers, pretty affordable and really good sound for being tiny.
But the bass is not gonna sound.
No, the bass isn't. But I have them sitting on a huge wooden thing that's hollow.
Oh, that helps. Anyway, I thought Mike.
This ain't my first rodeo.
Nobody thinks this is your first rodeo, Kev. Your 900th rodeo, maybe.
Your 900th rodeo. So we got through the threesome, and we ended up in Leaves. And I will poop on Leaves a lot, but I was really into it. I thought it was great after the Weekapaug. After just you had the high pro glow after getting the whiff with the Mike song. So you're like, this is cool. And they, I really feel like it's like Slave Light at the end. It has that great Bliss jam that builds up in it. So
it's powerful.
At this point,
I mean, they have emotion in it. There's something to it.
I was really high on it at this point. Really high.
I think the lyrics are awesome too. And I love the breathing part. I struggle with anxiety sometimes, and like honestly, like it's one of my mantras, not like in like a dramatic way, but like I literally will be multiple times throughout almost every day. I'll have a point where I'm like, all right, just breathe. Right. And like now I can hear it sung in like the breathe, like that vocal part. And I don't know, like it's like something that's like such a reoccurring part of your life that you don't think of. And it becomes like a big, emotional song. And I think it's super well executed. And I think his vocals on it, this is another song that Trey doesn't have the best voice in the world. And there's a lot of songs that don't work well. This song works really, really well for his voice.
How about we get a Leaves shade?
Please God, no.
Oh my Fuego Vikings. I love Fuego. Stupid lyrics. Great. Whatever Page does in the beginning, that beginning piano Page gets is just so cool.
Yeah, that's a great song for all of them because they all get a fun part. Page has a cool part. PHiSH has a really cool fucking part. The vocals are cool. I love this flavor of PHiSH. It's kind of the modernized version of the cow funk. You know what I mean? It's like the ghost cow funk, but like brought into like the 3.0, world. And it works with the linear beats and the quirkiness. I think it's just a great song, and I always love getting it.
The other strongest song for me out of the post fare thee well pre-COVID period.
Yeah. I mean, there's been times where Fuego's many shows that Fuego's been the best song of the night. It has the potential to be. It's not
Deer
always the
Creek.
best song of the night, but
Right.
it has the potential to be.
I feel like Deer Creek last year had a really good one.
I feel like we got a couple of really good Fuegos last year. And tonight, along with the Blaze On, that was really the only other, I would say, big. I mean, it's not like a monster jam, but it was the only other, like, quote unquote, big jam of the night tonight. So,
because Fluffhead is 16 minutes anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like Fluffhead and Reba and shit. Like, I'm not, that's mostly composition.
Now, at this point, Trey lost me. We'd already done Leaves. We'd had our cool, slow, pretty song, but we do Lonely Trip. All right, it picks up a little bit in the end. It's first time on tour. It's on the new album. You knew it was coming. But then to throw more after it, a third song in that same category.
Yeah. Either one of them on their own in this spot, I would not complain. Together, it was less, right? The more was less. But I guess that's us being nitpicky again or whatever. I mean, they were played well, they were executed well, but together, back to back, it was like, what are you doing, Trey? Like, you don't need to do this, man.
He struggled for the longest time in the fourth quarters.
Yeah. Well, to us, I mean, he might love it. He might be like, fuck
I've been nailing
that shit. I've been hitting him with that dad rock right at the end.
Yeah,
but I
gave him Lonely Trip, then more. Man, that shit was
more. I gave him more. But there were fucking people leaving the venue tonight singing more. Gotta be something more. Like, yeah, it's a fucking catchy song, and like people were fucking singing it. I don't know. Fluffhead was cool. I'm glad. I'm glad we got it, and I liked it. And
I mean, that I
salvaged the set a little bit.
You know that I don't notice if something's wrong unless it's a glaring screw up. But to my ears, that Fluffhead was pretty spot on.
Yeah, and it was very much like the Reba in the fact that it felt fresh and alive and energetic and had a little sizzle to it.
Two huge ones from the old school in this show, huh?
Yeah, very well executed. I mean, listen, this was a good show. This was a very good show, actually. I very much enjoyed it and have very, very little critiques. I said I was going to be critical, but really my only big critique was that the Lonely Trip and More together was a little much. And then the encore.
Right, he gives you Fluffhead, and then they're like, all right, hey, we forgot we got this other slow one. We know you'll love it.
Yeah, but could you imagine if they put the Dream in where Fluff was? I mean, at least we got the Fluffhead.
Trey would have looked up, the crowd would have been gone.
Yeah.
Like, where'd everybody go? All right, bust out Dark Side, guys, for the encore.
Yeah.
I mean,
First Tube on the Dream's fine.
Right, you kind of knew First Tube was ready to show up, even though I figured it would have shown up in Alpine because you have 20,000 screaming people on a lawn,
Yeah, Alpine has so much energy. Yeah, Alpine, but I mean, they needed you can't come out on the end of a run with A Light Beyond the Dream and not play First Tube. Like I could not think of another song to do that.
Cavern.
Wait, Matt, what are you talking about? My crib? What's up with my crib? You don't like my house? My basement? My studio?
There's his drums. There are drums back there.
My drums and my posters. Is there anything on this side?
So definitely getting that Set Your Soul Free in Alpine.
Yeah. What else is on the table? I don't even know.
Soul Planet.
The Soul Cycle.
We're gonna get repeats at Alpine.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a couple.
Right. We haven't gotten the Well yet.
Yeah.
Off the album. Valdez hasn't showed up yet. I'd like to see them take a stab at that at least.
Yeah. I want some more 2.0. I want like a 7 Below or like Waves.
Pebbles and Marbles.
Pebbles and Marbles. Round Room.
Yeah, not much No 2.8 tonight, huh?
No, I mean we got Undermine.
Yesterday we got 2 yesterday.
Yeah, we've gotten a couple on this, but I think that's what I want. I don't know. I suck at predicting or calling shit. I'm never gonna get it. I mean, just the fact that I said those songs, it's almost guaranteed to not get any of them this tour. So anyway, all right, man. Good times. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe.
We'll see you Friday night.
Comments. See you Friday. Later.
Central Time.